What's up, guys? I'm Miguel. I'm here with Isaiah. This is the Whole Future YouTube channel. We're here today to talk a little bit about who we are and our mission. And this is episode 1. Yeah, episode 1.
Episode 1.
Yeah, super exciting. And we're going to dive in and go into it. Yeah, so this is episode 1. Basically, we already know that anything you're starting out, especially on YouTube, is going to be, you're going to look back, you're going to be like, what were we thinking? And so, yeah, we have a beautiful backdrop here. We're hanging out. We're talking about the future, and we're in like kind of in the backwoods kind of a environment, which I think is it's a cool setup, so that's fine.
Juxtaposing.
Very juxtaposing. So we're going to jump in, we're going to talk a little bit about the mission, but I'm feeling like we're going to look back and we're going to be like, hey, you know what, this is
episode 1.
This is episode 1, so hey, we're going to look back and we're going to get better as we go.
So I'm Isaiah, and I am into film and computers, and I love technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I come from the background of being able to, use all this technology like in servers, or how to make it work with computers and making sure you have a faster experience. So I love all the nitty-gritty, and then making art with it is also a bonus.
Totally fortunate to have them be a part of it as well. A little bit about myself. I am a designer. I do, I guess it's now user interface, user experience design now. Back in the day it was graphic design, visual communications, but basically, man, I've been doing it for like almost 20 years now. And so the work that I've been doing has been vast and wide: visual communications, branding, user interface, user experience. I'm an educator now, so I'm using a lot of design thinking methodologies to kind of like teach new designers handle wicked problems and come up with solutions and things of that sort. And
you're really good at implementing strategies.
Thank you.
Into actual real life use case.
Yeah.
So like saying, how does this workflow work? And then saying, okay, let's try it on the students and see where it goes from there. And some students might say, I don't really like this, or be like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. Yeah. So you get like this awesome like bell curve of experience from all these people.
Oh, thank you. So hopefully you get a little piece of that and get to experience that a little bit too. Basically Isaiah is a former student of mine. He's amazing creator, amazing artist, amazing just technologies person, systems thinking, and we have a third person that in the midst who's not here, Carter. Hello.
He's at Universal now, scaring people.
Yes, and partly also, when we aired this is the week that Star Wars, Disneyland Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened. So he was like, look, I know this is episode 1, but I gotta be at the Star Wars, Galaxy's Edge launch. So he was literally there like last night. And so
it shows us where his priorities are.
Yeah. We love you, Carter. But he's an amazing creator. He is also a maker, engineering mind, builder. I mean, the guy is
he does it all.
He does it all. And so when we get him back in, we said, okay, you know what? He's very passionate about it. You'll hear a lot about it. I'm sure we'll do like a little episode talking about Galaxy's Edge a little bit and birds flying by. But it'll be great. It'll be awesome. So Carter, we hope you enjoyed it. We saw everything on the gram, and it's on Instagram, and totally looks amazing.
Mind blown and just.
And we'll talk about that too. We'll talk a little bit about the technology and that as well, because we're trying to help creative teams and designers kind of get some perspective on technology, its impact, and a lot of that has to do with stories, I think too, and the stories we tell ourselves, and I guess that segues me to my work experience too. Like I used to work for the Walt Disney Company. I used to work with consumer products and interactive media, and a lot of the principles and things that I kind of learned through there, I brought to you and to other students as well. So
your influence in that area, you were able to take into the classroom and kind of teach us, hey, this applies to everything, and say, this isn't just a one-time thing, or the stuff that you see on the shelves. Has a whole team behind it. People, like maybe 50 people to design one toy, is like crazy to me. I think, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's just that one toy. Why would you need all those people doing that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with like the creative process, right? Like, what is a product? When you think about it, a product can be used as like, it's a tool or a toy. So to me, I like to look at products as sort of like, tools, whether it's, for play and for inspiration. That's one thing. If it serves a purpose and a function, and it's like, a very, highly functional tool, the same thinking goes into it, which is, applying a process, working with the team, collaborating, getting creative, looking at some of the limitations of your products and materials and things of that sort, and just, building that and working towards your goal. And I think all those skills are really important, and those are transferable, right? Thinking about your personas, your target audience, what is the mindset, what is the focus of people that are going to be using this, and how can we kind of design for them efficiently. And so that whole process of just kind of like thinking about the problem and like and systemically kind of breaking it down I think is like one of our secret tools as designers. And
also a budget, right?
Yeah, and working with
you have a very like strict budget on, okay, you have to make 50,000 pallets of this, and
yeah,
it needs to all fit together.
Yeah, exactly. The logistics and like fulfillment and everything of that sort. So I've worked in all that far and wide. Consumer products, gosh, I mean, Disney's one company, another company, Funko, which is Loungefly, accessories and products and things of that sort, and we did all that, and I was at a startup. So my experience is mostly startup related.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I first started working as
you also helped out with that 3D print company.
There's a couple of them that are out there, but I think New Matter, we helped them out too a little bit. And so 3D printing is also another area as well that we have some experience in.
Technologies, pretty much.
That's kind of like the purpose of the channel. The purpose of the channel was to basically take our conversations that we've been talking about. It's sort of like forecasting or insights forecasting about the trends and what's to come. And you've probably seen it. You guys have probably seen a lot of versions of it. It's like, oh, new technology, what's its impact and everything of that sort. We kind of do that, but I think what we do, and I think you hit it there, is that was like we kind of talk about the strategy and sort of strategically like what's to come. So typically you hear about technology that has already hit the market, this new device or this new whatever, and normally people are on top of it. We kind of try to talk about what's to come. So, like, we hear...
Or what are the use cases with that new product? Because sometimes there might be a new... I don't know if you say there's a new iPhone. There's a new camera on it, and, like, when portrait mode came out, that was a pretty big thing. I think, was it the Google Pixel that did it first, or was it Huawei? How do you say that?
Huawei, I think it is.
Huawei?
Huawei, I think it is.
No.
Well, they already went under.
Huawei, yeah.
Yeah. Huawei?
Huawei, yeah.
We'll Google it.
I can't think of the name.
Yeah.
But, whatever. The whole idea of like tracking your face and then putting stuff in the scene that isn't there that was Snapchat, right? Where they kind of like pioneered that to be an industry standard. I mean, that's been around for a long time, all the way back at the Xbox 360, and oh man, I'm trying to think of it was also like on chat rooms as well. Like you have stuff that tracks your face, and that's been around like in After Effects and in Motion and in linear editors for a long time. But putting that into the phone.
Yes.
And having it being consumed by just normal users, not knowing that background.
And when you say that, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like how a lot of the technology works, which is what typically things will operate on the fringes or on the edge, and you'll hear about it or you kind of hear some interesting use cases, but it doesn't really go mainstream or until it gets to a certain like threshold.
It's that curve and then goes.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's Gartner calls it the hype curve or the hype cycle, which we'll get into a little bit later. But it's basically like certain things will have a lot of hype in the beginning, and they'll fall off based off of interest because people think it wasn't as effective. There's sort of like this slope of disenchantment.
The new part of it.
Is so exciting.
What's pushing it, kind of like that initial thruster, like to get the rocket out of the earth.
Where people talk about, oh, this is going to change this, and this is the future of that, and it's amazing, and then all of a sudden you don't hear about it anymore, and from there it ends up falling off, and when it falls off, then people think, well, that was never a thing. Before you know it, maybe, next thing you know, it's like there's X company, and they're the innovators, and they're actually... And they get bought out, and these are the companies that do really well. So you hear about it once, it kind of goes away, and then in the media at least, and then after that it kind of comes back in full force in its true innovation, and that's kind of like the Gartner hype cycle, it's known as. And so, you know, we'll definitely dive deep and talk a little bit about that. But essentially, you know, the mission of the channel is to just inform creators, designers, creators, creative teams on just how to forecast, how to get insight from those forecasts and signals in the news and the media along the edges, and extrapolate from that information, that data, how we can make some forecast or scenarios. And we're using data from Future Today Institute, which is a great resource. And once we found that resource, we were like, okay, we're going to dive into that. We're going to look at some of the statistics and data.
It was a great like stepping point for us just to figure out, hey, this is not something that isn't so foreign to people. This is like something that's going on, and to really kind of pinpoint and hone on like that your time's really valuable, and there's so much of this new up and coming technology. Where do you see your forecast in that timeline, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a strategic forecast. So the idea is that if you plan for 12 months, 24 months, you plan for 3 to 5 years in advance, and then strategically you look at 10 years in advance. And it's really hard. Yeah. We're not here to predict the future. We're just here
to kind of... we can't either. It's like...
No, we can't predict the future, but what we're essentially saying is that we can extrapolate from the qualitative and quantitative data. We can extrapolate some scenarios and what the probabilities of those scenarios are based off, you know, neutral scenario, best case, and catastrophic. And so, yeah, it's kind of that.
Well, if you think like if you go by the quarter system, you know, like Q1, Q2, Q3, like, and then you kind of get an idea of like how businesses think and how they're actually watching you to see how you react to then that influences them. So it's really kind of a you kind of do what like you shoot first, or like you throw the first rock, and then they'll follow suit, saying, okay, well that didn't go so well, or because that's like they're always testing, they're always probing to figure out whether or not that's an actual area they should venture into.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times what a lot of companies do is that they're working on their bottom line, they're working on trying to build products and services, and then some teams are thinking about like, okay, what are some of the tools and new technologies that are coming on the edges, but it's really hard to kind of decide which ones are less risky, and how do we reduce risk. So one of our goals is to help teams reduce risk, find opportunities with these exponential technologies, and figure out ways to implement that within their team. And that, I think, is at the core of what we're trying to do. We're creators. I think we're really good at learning, and we think that part of the equation is to help teams be really good at learning, be really good at learning rapidly, but also as well, how do you develop a culture in an organization that's primarily like 20th century industrial, which is top down. You know, we don't want new ideas. We're trying to protect, you know, our revenue and streams and our businesses. But how do you pivot? And I think part of that equation of pivoting and making change and making the right choices towards change is going to come from designers, because designers, I think, are more open.
They're developing your world. Everything you're doing is on your phone, and that's all done by designers and creators.
Right.
Who literally you're living the world in kind of like this mixed reality. So if you think about how much time you spend on your phone, that's been designed by people versus just you, you know, because your car was also designed by a designer, your computer, your coffee maker. So you're living in a designed world. You're not, you know, if you think about it, pretty much I would say 90% of all the stuff you're using is designed. Your house, everything like that. So if you actually take a second to like look back and be like, all that stuff that was designed that you take for granted, and then you actually say, okay, yeah, that was a real person behind it. And then realize, okay, yeah, maybe I can get behind this, and it's not so crazy.
And we're coming from different ends of the spectrum, I think. You know, Isaiah, you have your own business, you're starting out, you know, relatively. You've been in business for quite some time, but you're still very young to this business. And at the same time, I'm coming from the opposite end of that. You know, I'm kind of trying to help teams kind of build that up. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting conversation on how things are going to play out and how it's going to all work out there.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so I'm excited too. So we, just to kind of recap it a little bit, we are a team of 3. Okay, Carter, we'll just do a quick edit of Carter's face somewhere there on background, but just put it on there. But Carter will be definitely with us. You'll get to see him as well. It's going to be a great conversation. We're excited. We really want to build a community. We really want to like help people find value in the insights that we're about to dive into, and have some fun in the process. And the whole future,
which is our slogan, or no, that's our name.
That's our name.
That's our channel name.
Yeah, that's going to be our channel name. And whole future, the purpose behind that was basically the idea that one decision can change your whole future, right? So
butterfly effect.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to be able to help teams. We want to help you guys find some opportunities out there in an exponentially disruptive world, and
just
fast-paced
to decipher all the ones and zeros that's going on in your life.
Exactly. So we hope to give you guys some value. We hope that you can find some insights, and anything that you like or find interesting in, make sure that you like it, that you subscribe to the channel, and tell us specifically, what part of the conversation you guys like, and so that we can offer that to you, and so we can dive deep into it. So, All right, cool. Sound good? All right.
Sounds great.
All right, awesome.